Except. Hello and welcome to the Zone Multigaming Weekly Podcast. I'm joined by Jordyboy1.
Hello.
Paramoon.
Hello.
Panzer Dusk Attack.
Hello.
And myself, Nexus616. We will be discussing.
It looks a little bit like your chair's about to fall over.
Does it?
It does look very wonky.
This is the tilt of my house. Is that the desk and the camera is level,
Alright.
but I'm not. So so if I just don't put my feet on the ground, if I don't put my feet on the ground of the chair, it slowly moves around. And it's like, no.
So he's not on the straight and level with us.
I am not on. I'm not on the level with you.
I knew it.
That's it.
Anyway, you were saying, sorry, I really interrupted.
You did, like 10 seconds, like, who's everybody? Like, hi, I'm Paramoon, this is my show now. What are you going to do?
Don't lean that way, it scares me.
I'm going to fall off. I filmed all those scenes of the Titanic on the tilt, I just filmed them here. It's like, no! Right, so what have we been playing this week? Jordy?
I've been playing over my Watch Dogs and Valiant Hearts.
Yes. Yeah, you've got. I've been following your stuff actually. It's been very good.
Valiant Hearts is so cool. Such an awesome game. It's so simple as well. It's so we'll say simple. I got one of the videos I think I did. I got stuck on a challenge for about a good 10 minutes. I was like, this is taking longer than it should do. My intellect is being challenged.
I've caught up to where you've just freed the dog from the barbed wire. I hope that's not a spoiler alert for anyone that's...
Oh my god, you've ruined the whole thing.
Freed it?
But yeah, it's a really well thought out game, and you're just there like, you almost question, is this like a viable content for a game that looks so like childish and jovial?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, this is really dark.
It's really good.
Like satire, isn't it? Like, you played it, haven't you?
I have actually. I quite enjoy it. I haven't got that far into it though. I think I'm just passed around the same place that Geordie's up to as well. Yeah, but it's an interesting thing with the dog, and I don't know. Again, I'm not sure if this is spoilers or not, but just the way the dog and how it interacts with puzzles and that, and how you could kind of control the two of them. It's an interesting mechanic. It's not entirely unique because you've seen this sort of thing in other games before, but it's just the way they do it and how the depth of stuff. Like, it's a 2D game, but it's got different levels behind and in front, and and you got to really kind of work out the maze between the two. What you're doing at each level of the thing. That's
similar to the old Paper Marios and stuff. Then.
Yeah, like that. Similar to those, yeah.
And the mechanics do work well in order to tell a story. It feels like the mechanics were there, and then they've gone, right, okay, we need it to tell this story rather than, we have these mechanics and we'll make a story around it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's good as well that they've gone, a lot of games hit on the Second World War, but I think it's nice they've gone back to the First World War, because a lot of people don't know about it. Like, recently I was working with the Scouts and they were doing something on World War One, and none of them had a clue. They were talking about the Blitz and things like that. I was like, there wasn't really much bombing going on in World War One because no one really had aircraft. They had a few biplanes. That was about it. Like, Zeppelins. Like, there was very little aircraft and very little bombing going on.
They still they've twisted it a bit though, because there's a few parts on it where you are like, it's like a bomb run where they are like. But other than it being plane bombs, they've twisted it a bit so it's there like the Germans have got like shitloads of Zeppelins.
Yeah, well they did have Zeps, so...
Yeah, they did actually.
Yeah. But in the Valiant Hearts, there's like a lot of Zeppelins. It's not like, you just like, how have they not won already?
Yeah, they're not that many, but...
But no, it's a really good game.
Is they really did have a lot of those actual Zeppelins and stuff, but it's just that if you talk about bombings and stuff, no, they wouldn't have been that effective because the bomb load they could carry was just so small. I mean, for something so large, you carry such a small amount.
And it's not really volatile
as you would think it would be.
Yeah, one tracer round goes through your balloon and you're pretty much screwed.
Absolutely.
They didn't really want to risk it. But yeah, so I think as a game for bringing that back and really hitting on the World War One aspects of things, I really think it's a good way of doing it. And because it's so simplistic, you care about the storyline more than the mechanics.
Yeah.
Which is a nice change, really. A lot of games these days, you look at the new Tomb Raider and things like that. Like everyone's moaning about some of the mechanics and some of this, that, and the other. And a little way you forget about the storyline and what it's trying to tell you because you're too busy wondering why I can't do this, why I can't get my gun out because it's glitched and things like that. So
I think especially at our level of gameplay that sometimes you're just looking at the mechanics and you're focusing less on the story. So like sometimes you're like, oh, I need to get the new perk that allows me 15% off damage reduction. You're not thinking like, okay, so I need a new shield because I'm getting beaten up by guys with better swords than me because they made a different material. It's just yeah.
Well, it's like that with the I looked at the Uplay stuff for Valiant Hearts as well, and you know, with all the like where you spend Uplay points to get extra perks for your games and stuff. It's usually like you get another game, and you get another gun, you get this perk for your character. Whereas with the Valiant Hearts one, it's there like you just buy like comic strips from it. It's like nothing to do with the game. You just buy like bits of the comic to do. I assume to do with the story. I've not bought them yet just because I don't want them to like in case they ruin it for me. But like I thought it was quite like clever idea. Like they're not like obviously not asked about like.
I really like the letter system because I know you popped into it in one of the menus and it's just got letters from the other characters, kind of where they're at emotionally at this point in gameplay.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool.
It is, yeah. I haven't had a proper look at them yet, to be honest. I've been looking at all the other stuff because there's so much extra content on there. There's like because there's all of like the relic sort of things you find around there, and then like on every level you've always got like there's like 5 different like info categories as well. Just about like what was happening. Like one of them was they were talking about like when they were like gassing a load of troops and the Germans like using like chemical warfare. Some nice, interesting stuff about that.
Yeah.
But it seems a game that has decided on a particular art style, and then they've spent the rest of their budget just fleshing out the game. Whereas some games are just like, oh, look at how rendered this hair on this character is. And then when you go through the rest of the game, you're like, the story's this shallow. It's just ridiculous.
No, I think they've done really well with the. I like because it's like the comic book style of it. It's a bit like you said before. It's a bit Paper Mario. It's a bit Paper Mario, but ways like the cutscenes are quite like comics style with like in images in other images sort of thing.
Yeah, but that's kind of a good thing. Like it's going back to the whole 2D aspect of things, but trying to keep it not just another 2D indie game.
Yeah.
I think for a game like that, it's definitely made a splash and a good splash as well. Like, I haven't seen that many people have bad reviews about it. Everyone sort of said like it's a really interesting game, really quite a long game as well. Keeps you engaged, keeps you with it. So it's nice to see that some of these small developers or whatever are actually making a splash with some games and hitting off things that other devs like EA could have easily done a game on World War One, but they haven't. Apart from Battlefield, no, they didn't even do Battlefield 2142 was the Second World War, wasn't it? Not 2142. Sorry, 1942. 2142 was a future one. But yeah, you know what I mean. So it's good that it's made such a nice impact on people and that people are actually learning from it as well. Because I think gaming should be an experience where you can learn and you can stretch your mind as well as your knowledge and things like that. I think it's
well, I think games are really pushing now to become an art medium, and especially in America, they're really pushing for the levels of censorship and the way that they can do things. They're saying, look, we're an entertainment device, but we're more akin to art than we are to sports. But at the same time, we've got a lot more esports, so games have got a very weird personality at the moment.
Yeah. True.
Anyway, Pyro, what have you been playing this week?
Interestingly, I've been working quite a bit this week, but interestingly, I've gone back to Left 4 Dead 2. A friend of ours, another streamer, has been doing a few streams, so I've just hopped on with him. Left 4 Dead 2. Can't follow that game. beautiful piece of kit, especially some of the mods as well on it. Really give it that extra edge and keep you guessing. Yeah, so Left 4 Dead 2, can't fault it really. I'm trying to think what else I've been playing. I don't remember. God.
That's a nice game. I remember that was the one we and Sam used to play in sixth form. We had like
to get home.
That's it. It's still a great game, and it's how many years old now?
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're bringing out Evolve. The same devs are bringing out Evolve, aren't they? Which is a similar aspect game.
Yeah.
But looking forward to that. But at the same time, it's like Left 4 Dead. Like, I could just go back to it and be like, remember all the buttons and muscle memory. Just go straight back in there, loving every second of playing it again straight away.
And obviously, if you get it through.
Nice.
If you get it through Steam, you can put all the visual add-ons.
Yeah, the mods and stuff are great for it.
Like I put an add-on that didn't work really well, but it turned all the zombies into Urukai. And I didn't know what to do for 10 seconds. I was like, these are very angry zombies. Do I shoot?
I actually, when I first jumped on the stream, I'd forgotten I had all the mods on, so I jump in and suddenly I'm surrounded by xenomorphs. Like, loads of them everywhere, and I was like, what the actual hell is going on? Like, I completely forgot about all the mods. You can also get a mod for Starship Troopers bugs as well. That looks amazing. Like the Helm's Deep modded level, like the survival, because they all just come swarming at you across the land and like climbing up all the walls and stuff. It looks awesome. But yeah, I completely forgot it was on. And I went straight into the map and was like, what the hell? I just completely wasn't in the mind where I was expecting zombies. I've been watching the stream, seeing zombies, and then suddenly xenomorphs are everywhere, and I'm fighting for my life against aliens. So I'll just go switch that off just to give myself a break.
Oh my god, what have I done?
No, Valve have definitely really hit it off with that one. Was someone accidentally leaked that they might be doing Left 4 Dead 3? I feel that there was a leaked image where someone had a system file called LFD3, and everyone was like, Left 4 Dead 3 confirmed.
There's always stuff flying around the internet, isn't there? But I think they'd be stupid not to. Because Left 4 Dead 1 was a great game, Left 4 Dead 2 was a great game. If they don't make Left 4 Dead 3, they're missing out on something. But I've also got the whole, let's not make it a Battlefield 4. Shall we? Let's keep it on the same line. Let's not be stupid with this and make it ridiculous and crap.
Well, there is one issue though. I think when Left 4 Dead 2 first came out, there was a big controversy where people were saying that Left 4 Dead 2 should have been an expansion for Left 4 Dead because it didn't add that much more content to justify being its whole new retail game, full retail price. And it was just. And I think that feeling might come across again if they do Left 4 Dead 3. And it's like, they're going to repeat the same sort of thing again. People might, lose interest again. Because after all, the sales figures did show when at launch, Left 4 Dead 2 was the more successful title because more people were interested in the actual type of game. But that alone didn't make it a good game. It was a good game on its own already. It's just that Left 4 Dead 2 took it to the next level. But not to the extent where you'd pay the full price again for it, unless it was on sale. I mean, I bought it on sale. I'm fairly certain a lot of other people did as well.
Well, I've actually owned like 3 or 4 copies in my time of it from various consoles and PC and stuff. But again, I can understand where people are coming from when they said it. It's a modified version of it. Better graphics, a few extra special enemies, things like that, different maps, different people. But at the same time, obviously the content was there because we've all been playing it. I can honestly say that I haven't really been back to Left 4 Dead 1 since Left 4 Dead 2 has been out. So, and they have brought up plenty of content for it as well.
See, the sale version of Left 4 Dead 2 that I got had a lot of Left 4 Dead 1 content, which I never played in the first place.
They redid the maps and they brought in the other 4 characters, and they did some sort of co-op weird ones where you like meet up with the other 4 characters and like, we're the survivors, what's happening? And then you're trying to like start up motors to bring.
Oh god, no, I love that one. Yeah.
And that was really good. I thought that was a really nice little homage to it and Left 4 Dead 1. But if they do make Left 4 Dead 3, it's going to be next generation graphics, which let's all be fair, aren't next generation. So we'll just see what they bring out, see what they're developing. But I hope they don't try and change the game too much, because what we love about Left 4 Dead 2 is because it's what it is. It's that whole Start from A, get to B, and that is it. Like, you just fight your way there, and it's just a clusterfuck the entire way. Like, I feel that if they try to make it more, you can go 3 or 4 different ways and all that malarkey, like, that's not what the game's about. Like, the game is literally just seeing your skill at how quick a shot you are and how you work as a team, rather than, oh, well, actually we need to bring more aspects into the game and bring in various different things. Like, I think it's just got what it needs, and all it needs is now just revamping the graphics, maybe taking a few of the specials out and adding new different types of ones in, maybe, and then seeing how it goes from there. But it should be. I'm looking forward to it. If they are developing it, I would definitely be interested in it from the off.
Well, Valve always have a weird system of developing games. Instead of being a normal studio where they go, "This is what we're doing," I saw an inside documentary. They just basically, people who are working on a project move their desks, like their desks are on special rolly wheels, and they clump together. So a group that has like 20 people who want to do it will clump their desks together and obviously be done quicker.
Yeah.
And then other people who develop in other stuff, maybe like developing it on their own.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, but then that's a team that obviously have a love for what they're doing, and they love the way they're working, and they can do that. So I think that's better. The passion's there rather than the money side of things. They're not rushing a game to release it, and they're not sticking 30 people, 40 devs on it just to get it out in time, and letting them sort themselves out and say, well, look, it would be nice if we get it out before this date. It would be nice if it was complete, but if we need to put a few DLCs in there, that's fine. Like, I think that's a better way of doing it, and I think if they stick to that, then they'll bring out some proper classics. Like, they've still got the edge, because, I mean, let's be fair, I've not been happy with anything EA's brought out for a long time now. So I bitch and moan about EA all night long, but the thing is that they're not delivering on what they should be doing. They should be wiping the floor with everyone else in theory, but
yeah, they've got the money, they've got the manpower, they've got the selection of ideas. It feels like sometimes they get an idea and then someone's in the background like, hey, we should do something weird, and everyone goes, no, let's not do that, and they're like, but I employ you. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, it feels like he's just there like rubbing his palms together, like, oh yes, how much can we make off this? Like, Titanfall, it was this next gen sort of amazing new concept and everything. I'm like, well, actually, it's not that new a concept. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that we've seen in other games. You've just bunged them all into one game. It's nothing really new, and it's all next-gen graphics and stuff. Frankly, it wasn't that amazing. And oh look, you brought it out on Xbox 360 and PS3, so it can't have been that amazingly next-gen, because if they can still play it.
Yeah.
Well, it actually isn't, because it runs on Source Engine. So it actually isn't that next gen.
Yeah, that's my point though.
I was about to say that, yeah.
Stuff. Yeah, so it's just like, it doesn't feel next gen. I don't feel like there's a next generation of consoles, especially if you can fucking reverse compatibility backwards. Like, you would never be able to play a PS3 game on a PS2. Like, that would never enter your mind. But
yeah,
when we were in a shop this week, me and my colleague, we were looking at all the new releases and looking at all the new things, and there was an old couple, like obviously parents, talking next to us, and we heard them saying like to one of the staff, like, oh, should we buy, he really wants this game, and the guy was like, well, it's only coming out for Xbox One, so you're going to have to buy an Xbox One. And they were like, oh, is it not out for 360? And they were like, he was like, no, it's not coming out for 360. And I felt like stepping in and saying, well, I'd give it a month or two after release, and if they don't get sales, I'm sure they'll shoehorn it into 360 compatibility, because hey, it's Xbox, they can do what they like. So it's not that leap you expect from it. It's not going from cartridges to discs like N64 to Wii. It's not that jump.
Xbox have recently they've started doing a refund. Like, you can, for saying you own an Xbox One, you can get what, $75 back? You can apply for this funding to get some money back. It's like, thank you for being an Xbox person.
I want to do that. I don't even have an Xbox. I'll do that.
The thing is,
I've got an Xbox. Can I have some money, please?
but the thing is, I really love the 360. I thought that was that was the console I enjoyed. I wouldn't say it was the technically more powerful, but it's one I enjoyed more. And so I'm a little bit disappointed at the way the Xbox One has turned out. But I have a gaming PC now, so I don't care.
But yeah, you know, it should feel, when everyone's talking about this next generation, I just laugh in their face, because it doesn't feel next generation. It feels like, yeah, you've upgraded the graphics, you've upgraded the console, it runs a little less on fire than, you know, the Xbox 360 used to, when it used to keep blowing up. Like, you'd hope that this next generation leap was actually going to be that, but it doesn't feel like that, especially when they're putting, you know, these next gen superbly made games, inverted commas, back onto the 360 and the PS3 just to try and make more sales. It doesn't feel next gen to me at all. Maybe that's just me, but I don't feel compelled to rush out there and buy the 2 new consoles at all. Whereas I felt compelled to rush out and buy a PS3 and an Xbox 360 because they were the leap that was needed at the time.
Yeah.
So.
Anyway, Panzer, what have you been playing this week?
I have been playing a lot of Spin Tires, actually.
No.
I don't know, I'd had this sudden compulsion to pretend to be an off-roader. So, yeah. I don't get out much, so I decided to pretend that I do.
I did that the other day with Hunter, and I was just like, I've been inside for so long, and me and Pyro went on Hunter, was like, is this realistic? And we were just going around like, well, it looks pretty, but there's nothing to do here. So it is the outside.
Pretty much. The graphics are fantastic, but the gameplay sucks. Yeah, it's a really addictive game. I'd say, as far as driving games go, anyway, especially for one that plays on the keyboard, it actually runs really well for using keyboard. Just strange to say, because you normally don't drive in games using keyboard unless you're forced to, like in, I don't know, a GTA port or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's, if I was to compare it to another game, I'd probably say it's like the Dark Souls of driving games, because it's really difficult and it punishes you for the smallest mistakes. Like just the slightest thing out of place and it punishes you really, really badly. But it's addictive enough that you want to keep coming back.
Yeah.
It just keeps going, you can probably try it again. Yeah, just go one more round.
It definitely looks like sort of a different driving game. Like, you know, I mean, I say that, but for Christ's sake, the amount of Truck Simulator and Eurobus Simulator and Digger Simulator and I'm on a jet ski simulator, they're all fucking out.
I'm playing a video game simulator.
Yeah, it's just
Rock
like,
Simulator.
you know, I think I'm sure PewDiePie did one a couple of weeks back that was like making out with aliens simulator. Like, I don't even want to know.
It is highly unrealistic.
The point is that there's a lot of driving games out there like Gran Turismo and Need for Speed, and they're very much, you know, try and overtake the enemy as fast as you can, the opponents, and get to the finish line. But from what I've gathered from Spin Tires, it's you're more bothered by your surroundings than you are about anything else going on, and you've got to weigh in every little angle and stuff, and that to me is a completely different aspect of a driving game. And it as you say, Panzer, it must be really addictive, because you're like, why am I stuck? I need to get out of this mud. And you're like, it just sounds amazing. Like, it sounds really, really good, and something very different and slow paced as well. Like, I'm fed up with games these days trying to up the pace to keep you interested. Sometimes you just like to chill out, and it seems like quite the game that, yes, it will be infuriating if you get stuck, but at the same time, if you're just chugging off through the forest, clearing a path for a road, then it'll be nice and chilled out and relaxed. So,
in a way, it is. There is something quite relaxing about it, until you get really, really stuck. But yeah, for the most part, it is actually a really relaxing game to play, because, I mean, you don't have many controls that you need to use. It's just standard W, A, S, and D, and that's it. That you don't need any other controls for the most part. The only thing that I could say is a big problem with it is the camera, because you have to use the mouse for that. But if you don't need to move the camera, then you kind of just, you know, just lazy, one hand on the keyboard, and just off you go. You don't really have to do anything.
the Russian forest, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a perfect game. There are some problems with it. But
what is a perfect game these days, Panzer?
I think we've put far too much emphasis as gamers on the perfect game. Like, people will slate reviews of games. It's like, well, it's not perfect. It's like, so what? Like, so many games that I've played that really enjoyed aren't perfect. Like, I went round to Pyro's and played Maximo. It's a terrible game. It's awful. You are
It's a
white.
spin-off Zelda, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, you are white androgynous hero after princess. Evil demon has said no, and you have to fight your way through a series of dungeons and castles to get her back. It's like the plot's rubbish, the combat is delayed and rubbish, mediocre, and your health system is unrelentingly painful. I love it with every single bated breath. But what I've been playing recently is the Stanley Parable, and I've become late onto this boat, but it's a really interesting, and it is definitely artwork. It's not. It really tears apart what it means to be a game, and what it means for you to be original. Like, there's so many things you think no one has tried this before. Everybody has tried this before. Like, there's this one bit where you can just nip into a broom closet, and then it was just there like, Stanley, knowing that this was not the way to the office, sat inside a broom closet. I was like, oh, okay, that's quite cute. Fine, yeah. You knew I went in there. There is 30 minutes of dialogue depending on what you do in there. And I'm like, who's tested this? To like, how have they scripted the voice actor that this has happened enough times? Like, I went out of the room, we went, oh, very good. And then you go back in, oh. And then you go out again, it's like, brilliant! And then you go back in and it's like, oh, you disappoint me yet again. And it's like, this is really starting to mess with my head. But it's just a really good play, and it's another game where you can just, because I've been at work a lot recently, I can just put it on for 5 minutes, try it out, save, go home. Or go to work even. Whereas like I have to get geared up to play like the other games I'm playing, like Hawken and Battlefield 3 and Sniper Elite, not so much. But it's really good fun.
Sniper Elite is an interesting one, actually, because we're playing version 2 at the moment because we just recently got on the Steam sale. But again, it's a game similar to Spin Tires, where as Sam said, it slows down the pace a lot, and it's really slow paced. You can just chill out a bit on it, like get that perfect headshot lined up. Unlike Call of Duty and things, and Battlefield, Hardline and stuff like that, where they're trying to really get combat really fast and stuff. But saying that, ironically, I've been playing quite a bit of Insurgency recently, which has surprised me. I actually really do enjoy it. It's similar to Red Orchestra in the whole sort of not having a mini-map and things like that, but Insurgency I'm enjoying, even though it is that fast-paced, but it's more the fast-paced that, yes, it can be fast-paced, but at the same time, you might need to sit there and camp because the whole team's riding on you to achieve something before they can respawn. So, sections of it are like just crazy and bullets flying everywhere, and then the next second you're just walking around buildings with a pistol out. Like, is there anyone left?
Almost where you need to manipulate the pace in order to decide how to win. Yeah. Whereas some games it's like, quickly, this thing's exploding around you all the time, cinematic thing, and you're like, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Like if the wall does explode next to you, you shit yourself because you've been like crawling along for like the past 5 minutes trying not to die because you're the last man standing. So yeah, it's definitely a game worth playing, especially if it's on sale or something to pick it up.
Excellent. Yeah. We've just got a question and answer. Is the future of gaming free to play?
No.
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 That's a fun question.
Yeah, you're gonna spy. Basically,
be free to play when there's world peace. When we don't need money, that is when it's free to play.
World peace.
Free to play problem comes into the fact that nothing is ever free in this life. So someone's had to make that. Someone's had to spend money on that. So that then brings in the powder keg that is microtransactions. Because if you're having a free to play game, you're probably going to have microtransactions in there for anyone to make any sort of money and wage out of it. And then you just into a whole nother level of should microtransactions be allowed and stuff like that. There's games like Guns of Icarus Online. They do microtransactions really well because, frankly, nothing you can buy affects the gameplay in any way. It's just aesthetics, and it's just stuff for your Zeppelin and stuff for you, and you buy it because it's 12p, 12 pence or whatever, and you're like, yeah, for 12p I could use a new hat, it might look cool. So there are lots of little microtransactions, and they're so cheap you think, what the hell, I might as well. But then there's other games where it's like, oh, if you buy this, we will win everything. I think what's that game called? Pansy, you had it. Retribution, Blacklight Retribution, was it called?
Yes, Blacklight Retribution.
Oh,
Yeah, they had microtransactions, and if you had to buy guns, but they only lasted like 48 hours or something, for real money, and it was only like sort of £1, and you could have like an awesome assault rifle for like 2 days. But it meant that you were instantly just pretty much one hit kill everyone running around the map, and all the people that were playing the free to play aspect of it, where they just come on and get the base rifle, you just ticking on them. And it felt a bit like, oh well, if you spend money and you get better, then what's the point? What's the point in free to play? I'd rather have it where everyone's on a level playing field and it's just skill that gets you up there rather than someone with the most money. But
Yeah.
everyone's cheating.
I think you're right. Guns of Icarus does a really good microtransaction thing, saying that you do have to pay to get the game in the first place.
yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
true.
allowed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's your entry. But I mean, free-to-play games like Dota 2, I've been floating around with it, and obviously it's become the esports, or the MOBA's become one of the esports. And because it's got that non-payment entrance, you get such a range of people playing it, and that's why it's become very competitive. I think some games may work free-to-play, but I know I'm more comfortable with playing a game that I've bought. Saying that, I got Hawken, and I think that's really, really good. And I spent a bit of money getting some aesthetic stuff like I do, because I'm scrupulous and just buy
So
anything.
is the aesthetic stuff on Hawken? Is that is the microtransaction stuff? Is that just aesthetics, or
It's
do you buy
all
like guns and things?
You can buy better mechs, but there's no performance enhancement. It's
So
just
there's like a tiny bit different. Like.
yeah, it's marginal. You move your legs like
I
a
think
fraction of a second faster.
An excellent free-to-play game actually to hit upon is PlanetSide 2. Great game, really beautiful, great concepts, and that microtransaction in that, you can buy skins and stuff for your ships and your guns and whatnot. But they have a gun in there that you can buy from microtransaction, and it is better stats, but marginal, like very marginal. Like if someone else gets the first shot on you, you'll still die. Like, so I think that's all right. Like, everything's so marginal on it that yes, it's slightly better. So if you do want to spend that extra couple of quid, then you do get a rifle that's slightly better at long range than being mid range. But at the same time, it's not. If there's a team of you running around with that, you're not going to just cut swathes through the enemy lines. You still got to watch out for grenades and stuff. So, I think there is definitely a space in the future for free to play, and I think, as you say, Sam, that it brings a lot of different people into something, especially for people that can't afford like buying a new game, new releases all the time. I think that's a great thing for them. But the thing is that at the end of the day, that someone's got to make some money from somewhere, so everything can't.
Yeah, exactly.
See whether EA will do a free to play game.
Oh, they do so many free to play, and then you have to pay to actually progress.
Yeah, that's what ruins it though, isn't it? Where it's things like all those like Facebook games with like Candy Crush and Farmville, and there's a big one on mobile, Dungeon Keeper.
Thank you very much. You just raised it. Peter Molyneux, who designed Dungeon Keeper, EA re-released it because they own the rights now.
Yeah.
And it became unplayable without paying, and Peter Molyneux was like, "That's not my game anymore. That's his."
Yeah, exactly. It was they changed the way it was all played first of all, and then I was reading about it in the paper, and then it was like, yeah, you start off all right, but then you don't really get anywhere unless you start paying for stuff. So well, it's not really a free to play game, isn't it? It's sort of just like a demo.
Yeah. It just feels like demos in some cases, doesn't it? Like some of these things, you're thinking you're getting a game for whatever price. Maybe not even free to play necessarily, but like a really cheap game, and then you get on it, and then it's like, oh, but you could buy 200 gold for take £2, and you're just like, why should I need to? I should be able to achieve that, but the only way you can achieve it is to like grind a level for like 2 whole days.
Yeah.
But to actually get enough gold, and you're like, well, is it really worth my bloody time?
See, now that they've released Battlefield 3 free to play, is that free? But I think you can still pay
free
for
for a weekend. Like,
but you can still pay for the Premier package, which unlocks you other guns, and I've never seen this in any other game, but unlocks server priority. And I'm not sure how I feel about that, because part of me is like, okay, you've paid, so therefore you should have better access to the game. That makes sense.
I think I like the whole thing that they have where when you're trying to get in a server, they have the server queue. So rather than like a lot of things on Steam, you try and get in and you're just spamming join game or you're clicking the insta join thing because you can't connect and you want to join with your friends and there's 32 people on there already. Whereas they obviously have a queue, so you can just click that and just sit there and go on whatever you want to go on while you're waiting. But obviously, if you've been sat in the queue for 5 or 10 minutes and then suddenly you're suddenly bumped to number 2 in the queue and then they instantly get on because someone leaves, it's a bit like but, yeah, it's an interesting one, but I don't think it affects that much of the gameplay in respect of it's only happened to me maybe once or twice before where it's annoyed me slightly.
And the only way you could know is if
you're staring at
if you're staring at it and your mate who's got the Premier package, Greenie, joins ahead of you. Anyway, sorry, Panther, what were you saying before I cut you off?
Well, actually, I was just thinking about now more relevant to what you guys are actually talking about. The whole idea of server queues and priority or VIP treatment, in a sense, for payment. Going back to PlanetSide 2 actually does that. I can't remember which level of it. It gives us different levels of premium that you can pay for using station cash, which is the microtransaction currency. At a certain level, you do get server priority as well. So for a game that is an MMO FPS, where sheer weight of numbers does actually affect the way the power balance between the factions shifts, that could actually have a pretty serious impact if a significant amount of players, or at least a good squad, has this server priority. So if you have a really crowded server, you get a good squad that comes in at the top of the queue, they could shift the power balance really significantly on at least one continent. And I've seen it happen loads of times. Ghost squadding and ghost capping was a really big thing for a long time. And having a squad that can do that, it can actually really, really seriously impact the game just by having a few players do that. So if talking about balance and stuff, how it affects the game if players are paying for certain privileges, this is actually a really good example of how that could, in some cases, adversely affect the game because of people paying for it. But again, this question has so many different answers as well, because you're talking about the future of gaming. It's either, are consumers going to accept free-to-play, or is it developers and publishers pushing for free-to-play? Because I could see this as a business model that a lot of big publishers are going to push for on the basis that it's constant revenue that they can make. Yeah, even if you have the retail, then
I don't think there's, as you said, I don't think there's been a public outcry from the consumer going, I'd like to play my games for free. Apart from people who obviously just don't want to pay for the games. I don't think you've got many people like, I'd pay to free-to-play model, but I'd like to buy small little shitty things. I don't think there's been a consumer cry. But as you said, the developers have been saying, look, we need this product out here. So if people, let's say 20% go into the premium package, that makes the return for the rest of the game.
That could very well be the case, actually, where you have the microtransactions, of course, are the way that the game continues to exist. But that being said as well, getting rid of the retail, how else are they going to do it? I think as far as retail priced games as well versus free-to-play, the only real example at the moment of a game that has been able to continue its service just based on retail alone is GTA 5, because of the sheer volume that they sold in their launch.
See, strangely enough,
that's why you have free DLC and all that coming out now.
Strangely enough, that's the most old-school recent game, because it's not been sold on the multiplayer really. It's been like, oh, there's a whole new event. There's a multiplayer bundled with it, but it's not been sold purely for that. There's like there's a whole new story arc. There's 3 characters to play at once, and it's been sold on the single player package. And then the online stuff's like, yeah, we've got an online as well. Hope you enjoy.
Yeah.
And that's quite refreshing. I've been playing lots of old games like Soul Reaver, Kane, all really old games where it's just the single player, and you've really got to sell it on that package alone. And how you stack those up against games that have multiplayer bundled on it, and you get a lot of complaints from some critics about games that have been bundled with multiplayer on. I think Bioshock 2, people were saying it's not as good as Bioshock 1. If it was on its own, it would be a good game, and it feels like they've drained some resources for a subpar multiplayer. And I've played the multiplayer, and it's not great. It's a multiplayer where you shoot at things.
It's an afterthought of multiplayer.
Yeah. But people who discuss this kind of thing, I've put in the show comments, extra credits. They're really good game developers and producers and artists, and they discuss quite a lot of the future of gaming. And they've got some really good, interesting insights into best games to play now and free-to-play models. Yeah. Shall we shamelessly plug? I'm going to shamelessly plug all our things. So, Zone Multigaming has obviously their own YouTube channel, which is this one. And Panzer has his own Twitch channel, which we all love. And sometimes we feature in, if he's lucky enough to put us in, which is this one. And Zone have one, which I think I've already put in, actually.
Posted that one, haven't you?
I've already posted that one.
Oh, you
And
know,
of
you
course-
posted it to YouTube. I don't know.
And right at the top, Geordie Boy and I are also part of Brilliant Proof as a little media group, but we're all part of Zone, and here's where you find Geordie Boy stuff. Go watch his Watch Dogs stuff, because it's brilliant. Because you just like explain like, what do I do now? And you find some very human emotions whilst you're playing. Like, am I meant to be following this guy? Why is this person into BDSM? Oh, they're from the Xbox thing. Brilliant.
Horrible like that. You just like, you get so distracted. One of them I was there, like I was in a funeral, and then I checked someone's profile. It said like they were into like porn or something. I was there, like, would you? I was there, like, that's really ruining my mood.
This is really somber. I'm really into torture porn.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna get out of this graveyard.
We also have our Steam community, so I've just popped that up on the side there.
I don't know whether it's just me, but it looks like you're pointing at the wrong side of the screen.
I don't know either.
It's
That helps. I'm helping to point as well, but they can't see it. You know.
Yeah, the barrel pointing where it's supposed to be.
I'm not sure that's the right image that we're trying to get across, but you know, I think they'll understand.
My arms hold information, and where I point will appear on the screen at home. That would really freak you out if loads of pop-ups just appeared where my hands. And this one's our Twitch, and this one is our YouTube, and this is Panther. But excellent. Anything you guys want to add before we wrap it up?
Not really, apart from the fact that hate EA.
Destiny beta. Has anyone got any?
Ooh,
On any of that?
Are you on the Destiny beta?
I'm jumping on it. I get tomorrow. I think I get an email saying, pick your platform, and then it's ready to download for the 17th.
Sega Genesis.
What?
Atari.
Nintendo 64.
Yeah.
No, Wii U. Just tell them Wii U.
Wii U. We don't have it like. You said I can have any platform.
You let me choose.
Yeah,
This is
yeah.
your fault.
Do we know if it's coming out on PC yet?
It might,
Stunned silence.
Oh, what's that? No, it's not, because
I thought they were planning on bringing it on PC.
Yeah, no, I
they were too, and then suddenly
Hey,
they're dropping the PC.
You're talking about a sci-fi first-person shooter reminiscent of Borderlands with good graphics. Put it on PC and then all the exclusive console thingy dies. I don't know that's a smart idea. It doesn't sound like a sound business plan.
Well, when we were talking
business plans, I'm talking about I've got a gaming PC, I want to use it.
when we were talking about, yeah, no, it can't be that good if it's over multiple generations. It's available for PS4, PS3, Xbox One, Xbox 360. But
I've got an Xbox 360 and a PS3. I can play it.
hey! But it won't look as beautiful as when it's on Geordie's.
It won't.
But we'll let you know what happens with that next week. All right, thank you guys. Thank you very much for watching. We'll catch you next time.
Bye bye.
Thank you.